Have you ever noticed how a simple cup of tea can hold more than warmth? Perhaps you sit at the table in the quiet of the morning, steam rising gently, and for a moment the world feels lighter. For many, that cup is nothing more than comfort, a pause in the day. But what if that very cup could do something greater? What if, sip by sip, it could help you rise from a chair without struggle, walk across the room with steadier steps, and carry your body with the strength you thought was fading? So often, tea is seen only as a companion in solitude, a small ritual to pass the time. Yet hidden in its leaves, roots, and herbs lies a power that too many have forgotten. The power to support the muscles, protect the joints, and bring back the sense of mobility that defines true independence. This is not the promise of miracles, but the quiet testimony of daily practice. Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara, who lived more than a century and devoted his life to helping others age with dignity, once said, "True health is not in what we avoid, but in what we practice daily." These words remind us that strength is not lost all at once. It fades when daily care fades, and it can return not with sudden effort, but with gentle rituals repeated day after day. Tea, chosen with wisdom, can become such a ritual, an act of strength disguised in simplicity. Modern science has begun to uncover what ancient traditions always knew. Dr. Andrew Weil, one of the leading voices in integrative medicine, has long warned about chronic inflammation. It is not always loud or painful, but it is constant. It eats away at the body's resilience, weakens muscles, and drains vitality drop by drop. He points to natural compounds, many found in teas, that can calm this silent fire more gently and effectively than many of the options lined up on a pharmacy shelf. And so this video is not just about tea as comfort, it is about tea as a tool, a friend that can walk with you through the years. Together we will explore 4 powerful teas, how they work, when to drink them, and the quiet transformations they can bring. Seniors across the world are already discovering their strength in these simple cups, finding not just flavor, but freedom. The freedom to stand tall, to sleep deeply, and to feel young again, not in years, but in spirit. Stay with me, because in the next moments, we will open the door to this forgotten power, and you may find that the path to strength and independence begins not with a heavy weight or a new medicine, but with the sound of water boiling and the warmth of a cup in your hands. There is a mystery that often unsettles those who cross the threshold of 60. Why does the body feel weaker, even when you have not changed your daily habits? Why does the grip that once opened jars without thought now tremble? And why do the legs, once steady on uneven ground, suddenly feel unsure? Many accept this as the inevitable shadow of age. But behind this slow unraveling often lies a quiet thief, chronic inflammation. Unlike the swelling after an injury or the sharp ache that warns of a sprain, this inflammation is discreet. It lingers in the blood and tissues, invisible, and works silently. While you sleep, when the body should be repairing and building, inflammation interferes. It slows the synthesis of protein, the very building block of muscle. It interrupts the deep repair that the body needs during rest. And when this continues night after night, strength begins to fade. This thief does not always knock with pain. More often, it comes dressed as fatigue. You wake in the morning after what seemed like enough sleep, yet you feel as though you have carried a burden through the night. It comes as weakness in the legs when you stand, or longer recovery after even small efforts, like walking to the corner shop or climbing the stairs. It comes as a subtle delay in the hands, as if the muscles respond a moment too late. There was once a woman of 72 who had begun to lose her independence little by little. At first, she needed a hand to rise from bed. Then she found herself holding onto the table when she walked. Doctors gave her names for her fatigue, but none gave her hope. One evening, she was introduced to a simple nightly ritual, a warm herbal infusion known to ease inflammation. She drank it not expecting much, but she continued night after night. Over weeks, she noticed her mornings were less heavy. She stood more easily, walked with less hesitation, and eventually no longer needed help to rise from her chair. Her story was not of a miracle, but of a slow return, the body answering once it was finally given quiet relief. Think of inflammation as a leak in the roof of a house. You may not see the drops at first. The wood weakens silently, the damage spreads in secret, and one day, when you try to lift a heavy box or step firmly, the structure fails where it had been weakened all along. So too does this hidden fire steal strength drop by drop, until one day the body can no longer bear the weight of daily life. The good news is that this leak can be mended, not with force, but with care. The teas we will discover are more than flavors. They are companions that cool this fire. Each sip is like a drop of water on the flame, not enough to drown it in one day, but steady enough to keep it from consuming the house of your body. And the first of these teas comes from roots long respected for their power to soothe and repair, especially in the quiet hours before sleep. Turmeric ginger tea, the anti-inflammatory brew that supports overnight repair. In many homes, the golden color of turmeric and the sharp fragrance of ginger have long been part of kitchens and family remedies. Generations have turned to them for warmth, for comfort, for digestion. Yet today, modern science confirms what tradition whispered. Within turmeric lies curcumin, and within ginger, gingerol, two compounds with remarkable power to calm the fire of inflammation. For older bodies, where strength fades quietly through this hidden fire, their value is immense. When inflammation lingers, muscles cannot fully repair after the strain of daily life. That is why legs feel heavy after a short walk, or why sleep no longer restores as it once did. Curcumin and gingerol act like gentle caretakers. They soothe the tissues, reduce the inflammatory signals that break down muscle, and support the body's natural capacity to heal. For those struggling with stiff joints or tender muscles, this soothing is not simply about comfort. It is about preserving movement, protecting independence, and awakening energy that had been dulled by constant fatigue. There is another secret here. The form matters. When turmeric is taken as tea infused in warm liquid, its compounds are more easily absorbed, and when paired with a touch of black pepper or a little healthy fat, such as coconut oil or milk, its effect becomes stronger. Unlike capsules swallowed without ceremony, the ritual of tea allows the body to welcome the medicine slowly, gently, as the warmth spreads through the stomach and the compounds enter the bloodstream with greater efficiency. The timing also carries weight. Taken too early, its soothing may fade before the body needs it most, but when drunk about an hour before rest, the effect lingers through the night. Muscles relax more deeply, small aches recede, and the body repairs in silence. Many have found that cramps disturb them less, that sleep feels steadier, and that mornings bring not just wakefulness, but a renewed readiness for the day. There was once a retired bus driver who carried in his body the echoes of long years behind the wheel, stiff legs, sore back, and restless nights. For him, fatigue after even a short walk became discouraging. At the suggestion of a neighbor, he began drinking a simple infusion of turmeric and ginger each night. At first, it was only warmth that he noticed, but as weeks passed, he realized the nights were no longer cut short by cramps. His mornings held less stiffness. The fatigue that had followed him after walks began to loosen its grip. Turmeric ginger tea does not announce itself with fireworks. Its power is quieter. As the warmth spreads through the body, it does more than comfort. It cools the silent flame of inflammation, allowing the body to do what it longs to do, to repair, to restore, to strengthen. Night after night it works in silence, so that morning after morning the body can rise with steadier steps and lighter burdens. And while this golden tea has its place at the close of the day, there are other leaves, other herbs, often overlooked, that carry their own gifts for aging muscles. They do not shout for attention, but in their quiet way, they can become faithful allies, protecting the body as it rests and as it moves. Let us turn to them now. Rooibos and nettle tea, the hidden muscle-friendly teas. Seniors ignore. Some teas carry fame across the world, their names spoken often in cafes and health stores. Others remain in the shadows, quietly treasured by those who know them, but overlooked by many. Among these are rooibos and nettle, two teas that, while less celebrated, hold a special strength for those seeking to preserve mobility and vitality after 60. Rooibos, with its naturally sweet and earthy taste, offers more than comfort. It is caffeine-free, making it safe for evenings, and it is rich in antioxidants that protect the body from the slow damage of time. But perhaps its greatest gift is the way it calms cortisol, the stress hormone that, when it lingers too long, quietly eats away at muscle. In lives marked by years of responsibilities, by the weight of memories both joyful and heavy, the body often carries more stress than it reveals. A simple cup of rooibos night after night can ease that burden and shield the muscles from its toll. Beside it stands nettle tea, less known, but no less precious. Strong in minerals like magnesium, iron, and silica, it nourishes the very foundation of muscle and bone. These minerals, so essential for contraction, balance, and repair, are often lost as the years advance, whether through medication, through weaker digestion, or through habits that no longer meet the body's needs. Nettle replenishes quietly, giving back what time and circumstance have taken, offering the body the raw material it requires to keep moving. For those who live with multiple medications, this nourishment is not small. Many common prescriptions drain minerals, leaving the body weaker without explanation. A nightly cup of nettle becomes more than hydration. It becomes restoration. Muscles answer with greater steadiness, bones with greater resilience, and the body as a whole with greater ease. Some find a rhythm in alternating rooibos and nettle from night to night, creating a gentle ritual of strength and calm. One evening, the rooibos lowers the weight of stress, allowing sleep to come more softly. The next, the nettle feeds the tissues that must carry the body through another day. Together, they weave a cycle of recovery, both emotional and physical. And there is beauty in remembering that these teas are not inventions of laboratories, but companions of tradition. In the alpine regions of Europe, elders who worked the fields turned to nettle tea at day's end, calling it a reward for the body's effort. It was not luxury, but necessity, an act of kindness for muscles strained by labor. Rooibos, too, was cherished by generations in South Africa, where it was brewed not for fashion, but for its calming and restorative powers. Green tea, why its timing and dose matters for muscle preservation. After 60, green tea has long been called a drink of wisdom. Its leaves, tender and bright, carry catechins and EGCG, compounds that science now recognizes as guardians of muscle and protectors of the body's balance. They fight the slow degradation of tissue and support the delicate exchange between fat and muscle that defines strength in later years. For those who wish to walk with stability, rise from chairs with confidence, and carry groceries without fear of falling, green tea offers a gift that is both ancient and renewed. Yet even a gift requires discernment. Too much of it, or taken at the wrong time, can rob the body of what it most needs: deep rest. Green tea carries natural caffeine, subtle but present, and when sipped too late in the day, it can disturb the quiet hours of sleep. The body, instead of repairing its muscles through the night, remains half awake, half resting. Morning comes, but stiffness and fatigue linger. This is why the secret of green tea lies not only in its leaves, but in its timing. For older adults, the best moment for green tea is in the morning or early afternoon, when its energy can be welcomed without disrupting the evening's repair. A small cup in these hours awakens metabolism, sharpens the mind, and sets the body into gentle motion. But after 5 in the evening, that same cup can become a thief of rest. Knowing when to drink it transforms green tea from a pleasant beverage into a true ally of longevity. There was once an older man who loved his evening cup of green tea. For years he believed it soothed him after dinner, yet he woke each morning stiff, his sleep broken, his body heavy with fatigue. One day he shifted this ritual, moving his cup to the early hours of daylight. The change seemed small, but its impact was profound. He began waking rested. The stiffness in his back softened. His mornings no longer dragged with exhaustion. In this quiet adjustment, he discovered the true gift of green tea. Not simply the drink itself, but the harmony of timing. Green tea is not a toy, though many treat it as such. It is a tool. Used with wisdom, it strengthens, clears, and restores. Used carelessly, it unsettles and weakens. To honor it is to understand its rhythm, to let it serve the body instead of disturb it. And so from turmeric and ginger to rooibos, nettle, and green tea, we find that each cup holds a different path to resilience. Each one, in its own way, speaks to the silent needs of the aging body, to soothe inflammation, to nourish minerals, to calm stress, to sharpen energy. Together, they remind us that strength does not always return through force, but through rituals of care, repeated gently day after day. Strength is reclaimed in sips, not struggle. Strength does not disappear in an instant. It fades in silence, almost unnoticed, until one day a jar will not open, the stairs feel steeper, or the body resists rising from the chair. This slow unraveling is not a punishment, but a reflection of habits left unattended. of small fires uncooled, of daily rituals forgotten. Yet what fades quietly can also return quietly, with patience, with gentleness, with practices repeated as faithfully as breathing. Shigeaki Hinohara, who lived more than a century, reminded us that what we do repeatedly becomes who we are. A daily cup of tea may seem small, but repeated each evening, it becomes a thread of strength woven into the fabric of life. Night after night, sip after sip, it tells the body, repair, restore, endure. With time, the accumulation of these acts is not small. It is the difference between fragility and resilience, between dependency and autonomy. Dr. Andrew Weil speaks often of inflammation, not as a monster to be slain, but as a fire to be cooled with care. Force and struggle do little, but gentle rituals, like the right teas taken at the right moments, quench the flame without violence. They whisper to the body, you may heal, you may rest, you may gather strength again, and in that whisper lies the possibility of renewed mornings, of evenings less burdened by pain, of movements carried with greater ease. Imagine yourself standing more firmly, no longer holding the wall for balance. Picture a night's rest that does not leave you heavy but refreshed. Envision walking across the garden or down the path to the mailbox with steadier steps. These are not grand achievements shouted to the world, but quiet victories lived in daily life, and they come not from pills or drastic measures, but from a cup held between your hands, warm and familiar, yet quietly powerful. This is the promise of simplicity, not the kind that claims miracles, but the kind that respects the slow wisdom of the body. Strength is not reclaimed through struggle. It is reclaimed in sips, in silence, in consistency. The path is not fast, but it is certain, for the body always listens when given what it needs. Tonight, when the house grows quiet and the day folds into evening, consider how a simple cup might become more than comfort. It may be the beginning of a ritual that cools the hidden fire, nourishes the body, and carries you steadily into tomorrow. For within that cup lies not only warmth, but the reminder that resilience has not left you. It waits patiently to return. And now I leave you with a question to reflect upon. Which of these teas feels closest to your heart, the one you can see yourself returning to night after night as a gentle act of strength? Your answer may become not only a choice of flavor, but the first step toward reclaiming the vitality that still belongs to you.